We be live.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. D is here. Count Dracula is here. Mustafa is here. Prophet Pusher is here. Music Guy is here. Cool. Who else is here? Steven is here. Rudrish is here. So we're gonna be answering questions in the live chat. But before we do that, we're gonna answer some Patreon questions. We have a few of them here. So Patreon questions get priority. We'll go through them. We'll spend a little bit more time usually on Patreon questions. And then once we're done with the Patreon questions, we'll go to the live chat questions. So if you guys want to make sure that your questions do get answered, and if you want to make sure that your questions get priority, and also for people who can't join us on these live streams, but want to send us their questions ahead of time, and we'll answer them live here anyways, consider becoming a patron. Okay, so see, there's three benefits if you're a patron to your questions. Right, we spend more time on them. We'll answer them even if you're not here, and it will answer them ahead of other questions. Okay, so we'll go through the patron questions fast. Link to our Patreon in the description if you do want to become a patron, which will give you access not just to this feature, but also to our all our the uncensored version of all our sexy blasphemous art. Okay, so check that link in the description. And then once we're finished with the pitching questions, we will go through all the live chat questions. Qasim is here. Hindutva is here. Who else is here? Heat Shield is here. Namaste.
If you would like to get
This Hindutva is different from the Hindutva on Patreon, right?
yes.
Okay, good. This Hindutva I like better than the Hindutva on Patreon. The Hindutva on Patreon is like really aggressive. Like the Hindutva here in the live chat, the Hindutva Susanna is polite, even though she disagrees with us. She's polite. The Hindutva on Patreon, that guy is not polite. Okay, so what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, if you want all of these perks on Patreon that you get from supporting us, which is the only reason why we're able to do what we do, you can get all of that for as little as $1 a month. So please consider supporting us.
Oh, we're also on Twitch, and somebody on Twitch is confirming that our Twitch is working great, and thank you for that. Kuya is here. Qasim is here. Look at this. Somebody saying, because I said like a patron questions get priority. Where is that comment? That was a funny comment in response to that.
What is
Oh
this
yeah.
capitalism?
What is this capitalism? Yes, yes, it is. No, we're gonna just like we need
That
we
made
need to
me
make
laugh.
sure that we grow financially, obviously, right? Patreon is awesome. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. Let's go through the question. Do you want to highlight the first question?
Sure.
I'll
Oh
I'll
wait,
keep
this
an
person
eye
is
on the
saying
live chat.
if there is no sexy Baroque art, I ain't signing up. Well, there is
There
actually
is
sexy Baroque
six.
art.
We have that.
This might be the only sexy Baroque art you can find on the
Yeah,
internet.
the only sex. Yeah,
Only
true.
one that
The
I
only sex.
found.
Yeah, yeah. And we were looking. All right.
Um,
Okay.
so first patron question is from Gasian American, saying, "What are your thoughts on the effect of the military-industrial complex on democracies?" Well, this is so broad. I don't even know where to begin. Like, should we dial in on a specific democracy? Like, are we talking about the American military industrial complex, the effect on our democracy, on foreign democracies? Armin, how do you want to unpack this question?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the military-industrial complex, the biggest one will be focused on America, right?
Yeah.
But okay, so there's so many ways to answer this, but the two main ones that I consider, one of them is easy because everybody likes to mention it, and they contradict each other. Okay, the two one. Okay, so there's a negative impact on democracies and there's a positive. Okay, and I know that this is such a simplified version of this because there's so many different ways that geopolitics and the military industry affect each other, right? But the two that comes to my mind right now, and like, don't come at me and be like, well, what about this? What about this? Okay, this is not an exhaustive list of effects. Okay, these are the two main ones that come to my mind. One of them is obvious, and everybody loves to point this out because it's very easy to be against the military-industrial complex, right? The first one is the impact that these institutions have on um, you know, politicians winning elections or being in power, and also the road. So there's lobbyist group that affect policies, right? And also the idea of how careers within the military industrial complex, there's a revolving door between politicians and the military industrial complex. These high positions within both are related to each other, and so there's an obvious I scratch your back, you scratch mine attitude between them. So the effect of this much power and this much money influencing politics and how laws are made, obviously people see that, mm, sometimes justifiably, sometimes they're exaggerating on an impact on democracy beyond what the voters want, right? Beyond what people want, right? So that's an obvious one. Everyone points that. It's like this is something that both leftists and right-leaning people agree on, right? Going after the military-industrial complex and showing how corrosive to democracy all that power is. Um, that's like, you could get that everywhere, right? You could get that on left-leaning, far left, right-leaning, far right. Everybody likes to point this out. Okay, they're all against it. Okay. But what they don't point out, okay, and now I'm going to do what some people are going to consider bootlicking,
Oh, take
is
a
the,
big drink to get ready
like,
for that
yeah,
bootlicking.
some shilling, some shilling from our overlords, because I have seen that democracy will, like, I'm joking, but like, anyways, I was going to say, I'm seeing that democracy will be dead someday, and that everything will become a military, all governments will become military governments, and I'm just trying to like save my ass. But no, I'm joking. What they don't see is the fact that, and I used to like be so much on the other side as well, but now in the past couple of years, I've seen how important the hegemony, okay, the Western powers ever since World War II, the fact that these powers have had so much they managed to have such a high share of military power, right, relative to the rest of the world, right? Ever since World War II, and even more so after the collapse of the Soviet Union, right? The relative peace that the entire world is enjoying because of these superpowers, especially the United States, along with its um, Western European allies, and Australia and Japan and South Korea, right? The amount of harmony and peace and stability that they have been able to introduce to the world because of this dominance has been has been able to make democracies everywhere trade, political stability, and therefore democracy and prosperity for people enough for them to care about democracy worldwide. That has had such a huge positive effect, that, and people dismiss that. Okay. Again, these are both true. Okay, so like, if I say that, people might keep pointing out the fact, like, no, the same military powers are responsible for a lot of war crimes, blah blah blah. Yes, that is true. We highlight those here, okay? But the existence of one doesn't negate the effect of the other, okay? We haven't seen this much. Like, it's hard for people to believe that this level of peace and stability that we're enjoying is unprecedented, because they turn on the news or they watch on YouTube and they just see war and conflict, and they feel like, oh, what are you talking about? The world, it seems like, is being torn apart. But like, they don't understand that what they're witnessing is actually the more amount of stability and peace that the world has ever enjoyed ever since we had civilization, right? Even with all the crap that is happening, and that has been brought about because of this world order that these military forces have introduced, right? There is a pause, like, this is something that a lot of people will get triggered over, but United States being the world police with all the flaws that they have has been a net good for the world. It has been a net good for the world, right? So that's what I would say. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think this is a perspective that I've just been learning more about recently. And as I've started to learn more about it, it's one of the reasons why I think that China will not become the world's dominant superpower, because I don't think they're willing to put the same amount of work in as the US has. Either they don't have the capability to yet, or they don't actually want to do that work so much as piggyback off of already existing work. Um, and I think just learning about the amount of peace that's been afforded in the world since the US Navy has stepped up to really like patrol international waters and the seas alone, that was something I never knew about. That was really interesting. Um, but yes, obviously, like you said, there are a lot of harms that come with this whole hegemony, and we talk about those as well. Um, so here's a question from Gation American. What are your thoughts on the polarization in the United States? More than 40% of the US believe that the election was stolen. YouTube, this is not something that we believe. We're just talking about other people. um,
Yes, YouTube. These are not our views. These are other people's views that we're commenting on. Thank you.
do you think US democracy is in danger? Oof, this is tough. Honestly, I try not to think about it too much because I get stressed out. um, we do have a really bad polarism problem.
I mean, in danger of what? In danger of collapsing or in danger of being less democratic? Okay, because it's not in danger of collapsing. Okay, U.S. democracy will survive, but is it in danger of being like? Is it in danger of being less democratic? Is it because it's not like democracy is not like a binary thing, democracy on, democracy off, right? Like even among democratic countries, some of them are more efficient at being democratic and than the other ones, right? And United States is not like United States when it comes to free speech is ahead of almost everyone else. But when it comes to the efficiency of like democracy and being representative of its people, is behind so many other countries, like especially some countries, some Scandinavian countries, like Western European countries, and some other countries, right? I mean, it is still like high ranking, but like it's not, I don't think it's like number one, and it can fall below that. And yes, obviously this is going to be one of those one of this one of the things that could affect it, like so here's the thing, there's two things that makes a democracy great. One, this the way that the the structures that you put in place to build a democratic society, right? How efficient is that, the constitutions and the institutions that are supposed to maintain that, right? And but secondly, an educated um electorate, how do you say that, the word that the people who vote, electorate
You got it right the first time.
electorate, okay. Basically, like, you need people to actually, I have this. Yeah, there's a quote by
Oh,
Thomas Jefferson.
there's a really good quote by Ambedkar about this. Let me see if I can find
Actually,
it.
hold on. Yeah, I have a quote. There you go. Thomas Jefferson, saying the cornerstone of a democracy the cornerstone of a democracy rests on the foundation of an educated Electorate. Is that how you say it? Can you say it once?
Electorate. Wait, no.
Electorate.
You
See?
I'm
See
overthinking
this?
it because of you. Electorate. There we go.
Electorate. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, even if you have a very efficient system, garbage in, garbage out, right? So yeah, there's two things you need to spend time in making and in creating a very efficient system, right? That the best system that you can make, that if used properly will be representative of the people that it's supposed to represent. But then the people need to be, for people to make the right decisions. They need to have the foundations to be able to make the right conclusions, right? And that requires education, right? So yeah, with that situation and with the people, like this is like 40%. That is insane. Basically, what we're saying, actually, what we're saying is 40% of Americans are insane. This is what they're saying. Is that actually the right stat? 40%?
It depends on when people were polled. So I know, the polls were very high immediately after the election, leading up into the inauguration. Um, and
Is
I
this
recently
40% of
saw
Americans or please tell me this is 40% of Republicans, not Americans.
I don't think it was Americans. I know
I
that
think this is
there was
wrong.
at least 33% of Republicans who believed this, and that was around the time between like November to January 2021. Yeah. Oh God. It's I wish I could find this quote behind Bedcar that I was trying to find where he talks about like how the foundation of democracy is an educated citizenry. Um
Okay. Wait, let me actually say what percentage of Americans think
or say
oh,
believe the big lie.
believe the big lie. 1 in 3 Americans believe in the big lie. So 33%.
Oh no. Oh no.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, Americans. Okay, so 1/3 of Americans are insane. This is great. Oh, okay. Gasian American. By the way, Gasian American was taking secular protest questions and reposting it. He's confirming in the live chat that this is secular protest questions. Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine as long as we're answering the question. But yeah, so education. I guess we need education. This is the solution is education. So do you think the U.S. democracy is in danger? Yeah, it is in danger, but not in danger of collapsing. It's not in danger of like becoming a dictatorship or like a tyrannical government. That is not, it's in danger of becoming is heavily damaged, like more damaged than it is right now, but not like we will still have it will still be a democratic country. So that's my answer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Another Patreon question by Gation American. Armin, do you observe Nowruz? For those who don't know, that is the Iranian or Central Asian New Year.
I don't, but not because I am against it, because I'm lazy. It requires effort. Like I have to get things and decorate, and
You
so
need to
who
go
has?
find that like wheat grass. Like you got to go find that special grass. Where are you gonna get
Ain't
that
nobody
grass?
got. I can literally get. No, I
No, but
mean,
it has to be
yeah,
a certain kind of grass, right? Like buckwheat or like wheatgrass. I thought.
people sell it. It's fine. I mean, I'm just like, I don't. Here's the thing: it's not just no rules that I don't observe. Okay, I don't do Christmas. I don't do Halloween. I don't do Ramadan. Hey, I might do Ramadan. I'm just kidding. Tahiyya mask slip off. Okay. Wait. Okay. Susanna's. Oh wow! Somebody's saying Armin is extra sexy today.
I was
I
like,
like that.
oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Okay. Thank you.
um,
Wow. I'm standing right. I'm right next to Susanna, and you're telling me that? That's amazing. All right. Oh
Um,
my, Qasim is offended. Qasim is saying you don't observe Nowruz. You... Yeah, it's okay. No, I don't. But here's the thing.
you just lost street
If
cred in the Persian community.
okay, no. If I had anybody in my household that would enjoy that, I would definitely observe anything. Okay, I would observe all the holidays of every religion and every custom and everything that people enjoy. Okay, as long as I don't have to do anything. Okay, like I'm not like we. I'm not like I'm not the kind of person that says like we don't celebrate Christmas in this household or we don't observe Nowruz in this household. I don't. I'm not like that. I'm like, oh yeah, let's be festive. Okay, as long as I don't have to do anything, go for it. Okay. So that's that is my criteria.
I love that. Including Aztec sacrifices.
Yes, yes,
Go for
including
it
that
as
one.
long as I don't got to do anything.
As long as if you do it, you will have to go to jail for human sacrifice. I'll be safe. I was like I wasn't involved. I was just observing.
Oh, we have another Persian who hasn't done Nowruz since they left. Meanwhile, Gossam is petitioning to kick you out of the Persian Empire.
Yeah. Uh, okay.
Next question is from Music Guy saying, what are your thoughts on Ahmed Shah Massoud meeting with the Taliban foreign minister, Amir Khan Mutaki, in Tehran, hosted by the IRGC, to discuss a ceasefire for the springtime war season? So this is a Iranian geopolitics Taliban question for Mr. Navabi here.
Well, I mean, they should like it's good that they're not fighting, honestly. I mean, take when they did this, they said like we're still gonna fight, we're still gonna like they're acting like they're gonna be tough, but they can't. So I'm glad that they're going like they're trying to the PR version of it is like, oh, this doesn't mean we're not gonna fight, okay? But at the same time, they're realizing the situation is that they can't continue with this. Like I honestly think like it's better if they stop fighting. Like this, we need stability right now in Afghanistan, right? Like the situation is so bad for people. Like the extreme level of poverty that's going to hit Afghanistan is so bad. I mean, it is hitting and it's going to get worse, right? I mean, Taliban is horrible, but this is not the right time to be fighting the Taliban. I don't think so, right? Um,
But also,
but
like the
it's
Taliban, like they want to be fighting.
well, it depends on
Maybe not
who. I
like,
mean, yeah, I mean, that's just some of their fighters,
yeah,
right?
that's what I
Like,
mean.
yeah. But no, but the Taliban in charge right now, they know that they need stability. They desperately need stability, right? Ahmad Shah Massoud, that they're going to be fighting a losing battle. Like I think they shouldn't. I think they're responsible for Ahmad Shah Massoud to try to get all the support and donations from people that have this false hope that the Taliban is going to go away. I think that's very irresponsible. They shouldn't do that. Like you know, don't. Why are you wasting lives and resources and giving people hope, right? Um, but it was so interesting to see that they're speaking like they're like submitting in one way, but they're also acting tough. That this doesn't mean we're not going to be fighting from to their supporters, right? Like keep the hopium like pumping, right? Um, but at the same time, the fact that Iran is hosting this is very interesting. Like the more I read like geopolitics and the more apparent it becomes to me how important it is that for how valuable it is if your country is seen as a negotiating platform or a peacemaker, right? I used to think like, you know, oh, that's interesting. They're focusing so much on that. Like I see Turkey doing that, like pushing for that so much, right? I see Qatar pushing for that. I see Russia pushing for that, right? Now like the benefit the geopolitical advantage of people having to rely on you as a place where they negotiate gives you so much leverage in so many, in being able to push pressure your enemies, or to appease your friends, right? um and this is why, like, you see all of a sudden countries that have no business in a conflict, all of a sudden like, hey, can we bring you together? Like, why are you like, why are you involved? You have nothing. Like, you keep saying it, and and that constant push by countries, like, I mean, and not that Iran doesn't have a dog in this fight, they actually do a lot, right? But that constant push for so many countries to want to be the country that some other countries rely on for negotiating is making more and more sense to me, as I see how much later, like, you see, like, 5 years later, 10 years later, that the returns on that investment, like, oh, I see what they were doing that for, I see why they wanted to do that, right? By the way, that's the country that has done that the best, and becoming for has becoming so influential and so powerful, even, is Qatar, because of this, right? Qatar has become very good. Like, this is a tiny little country that it has become so influential geopolitically all over the world, because of it being a place where deals are made and countries come together. And, like, also this is also why it makes sense for Qatar to become such a heavy investor in media, um, social media, traditional media. You know, you always ask, "Oh, why are they doing this?" And then, like, when you follow it, and then you 5 years, you're like, "Oh my God, they only managed to pull this off because of how influential level over there, right?" This is why Qatar, a country that is like could be invaded like this by Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Egypt, like in half a second they could be invaded, right? But when that invasion seemed imminent, Turkey just came in, right? And they're like, not on my watch, right? Because of that, because of it, it's a little country that could, right? Like, all these soft power that they have makes them so much valuable to their allies that you can't just remove them. And this is what Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, is also realizing, and that's why they are trying to do that, like with the Taliban, right? They know, they have seen how much other countries have benefited from having that level of influence.
Wait, where did it go? Shoot. Hara Sultan is here.
Oh, oh no, but don't even joke about that. Can we ban him? Can we ban him? He's not being serious, by the way, guys. But can we ban
No,
him
he's
just
not.
for that? No.
If you
Why would
really
you
want
highlight that?
to.
You're just trying to trigger it.
He is,
No,
it
he's not
worked.
serious. He's not being serious, guys. Like, guys, don't even joke about that. All right.
I don't
Okay.
I don't know if we should ask the CDC question.
I think it's fine. I've seen it. I think it's
Okay.
fine.
I'm nervous, man. I'm so paranoid about YouTube. Um, so finally, we have our question from Asian American saying, what are your thoughts on the CDC shortening their quarantine restrictions? Do you think money by corporations played a role, and how can we be vigilant against such tactics? Um, I don't really have like thoughts and opinions on this, honestly.
Okay, so money has an influence, but not in an evil way that, like, oh, here's some money, CDC. Can you make this change? CDC is transparent about having to take people's lives into account. Okay, people's, like, this is not like a hidden, like, oh, companies like, oh, here's some money under the table. Um, and can you change your recommendations to care about businesses more than about people's health because we gave you money? Like, yes, it is about money, but not in a evil way, not in a CDC has transparently said, like, we have to take economic people's economics lives into consideration, right? And to do that, they do talk to leaders in the industry. Like, they have to talk to economists they have to talk about to heads of industries. This is not something that, of course, they have to. Okay, people's health does rely on their economic ability as well, right? So they can't exclude that from the equation. Like, guys, if CDC, like if CDC wanted to was completely blind, had it like wanted to be completely blind 100% to people's economic lives, why not just put everybody in jail then? Right? Like if you like if health is like the only thing, just put every person into solitary confinement, like just like like and then everything will be solved. Like obviously they have to take these other factors into account, right? So when you say like CDC shortening require so do they think money by corp yeah, not money by corp, well, I mean money by corporations, yes, but corporations need to make money. So that corporations making money, what does that mean? Corporation making money means that there's economic activity. That means people are getting paid for their labor within these corporations. That's what money by corporations means. This is not an evil, nefarious thing. Okay, this is like a good thing. It's a good thing that the CDC takes these things into account, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is very important that you actually take things into consideration. We can't just act like, yeah, we just live in a vacuum of these like isolated pods. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so exhausted from talk of this kind of thing. Like, I'm kind of just like, whatever policy, whatever. I just want it to be over. I don't like. I tuned out a long time ago. I just
CDC, guys. CDC is the I think people need to be very grateful. Like I can't believe the CDC, which is an organization that has become, which is responsible for so many people's, so much good in the world. Like this is an organization that is like, what is a thankless, like imagine being a group of people that have so many lives, saved so many lives, and yet being one of the most hated organizations in the world. Okay, like I think people need to be more grateful to the CDC. Yeah.
Sorry, I just had a flashback to the AIDS epidemic and like how the CDC and FDA handled that, which was not good. But yes, I agree.
Not good.
We learned a lot from the AIDS epidemic that was helped this time around, but at the cost of
not good is
thousands of American lives.
It's still with all the of course, institutions like CDC are not going to get everything right. Okay, but I'm just saying their existence has been so much better than them not being around. Okay, it's a good thing that we have the CDC. All the net effect has been heavily positive.
Oh, okay? Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
I just literally had like a flashback to images of these like protests in the 80s, like
yeah. Adam is saying it's a trade-off. Yeah, go on.
It's a trade-off between economic effects, which indirectly affects lives and health, versus direct life and health effects.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
So let me. Oh, and then there was another Patreon question from Anne, saying, "Is Armin familiar with the concept of supplying your audience ideological heroin, whether you agree with it or not?" Well, Anne, we weren't familiar with this concept, and we tried to Google it. We can't find anything, so I wish you had to find it for us.
Yeah, maybe they find it next time. Doesn't seem like. Just based on the name, I don't think I'm a fan, but I have no idea what this. I have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
So does anybody in the live chat know what Anne is talking about?
And we also had.
Wait. Before you go there, I actually want to ask, like, as like flashback to the 80s. Susanna, did you even exist in the 80s?
No.
How did you have a flashback to the 80s?
Because I studied a lot of queer history.
Okay.
Particularly the AIDS epidemic. I've watched a
Okay,
lot of
but that would be the
documentaries about it.
flashback to the time that you were reading about the 80s, not a flashback to the
Well, I
80s.
did say like flashback to images of it.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so there we also had some patron questions by our local Hindu patrol that were just like statements and vague accusations in the form of a
Of a
question.
question.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I've
I
been receiving a lot of abuse from Hindu patrols recently that's
These are not
been
even
not
questions.
good.
Like
And so I just
I'm
didn't want
looking
to
at,
engage.
yeah, and they're not. I mean, we don't even have to engage. I'm reading. First of all, half of them don't make sense. The other ones are just like not questions. They're like statements turned into questions to make, these are not honest questions that you have. You're like attacking Susanna, and they're very, and also in a very like ugly way. Like also like you change your username to something you want us, like it's like such a bad faith way of engaging with us. So we're just gonna not engage with such bad faith attempt as like these
You're
are
like,
not
oh,
really
it's such an
questions.
ugly way. And my standard is like, well, they're not threatening me with being R worded like, several other people this week. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind
No,
of why
but
I'm
yeah, I'm
feeling
not.
kind of low energy today. Um,
Oh, I'm sorry. You seem
uh,
okay though. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like you're doing very good with if you're feeling like that. You seem very upbeat. So
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
um,
guys. Like Susanna, guys. Susanna deals with so much sexist, disgusting threats, and like we're like collecting them all, and we can't show it to you guys because YouTube is gonna think like we're saying it, and if you post them on Facebook, Facebook is gonna think like we're saying it. So what we're deciding to do is like maybe put it on a Google Drive somewhere and then link it to you guys so you could go see what Susanna has to deal with. Like it's the Hindutva, like the amount of vile, discussing insults and threats that Hindutva, like we haven't seen that from any other community. We haven't seen from the far right people. From, I mean, Hindutva is far right, but like Western far right, West, like leftist in the West. We haven't seen this from Muslims. We haven't seen this from Christians. But this level of this, it's just I don't even know how Susanna deals with this. Like I'm so sorry that you have to go. Like this is like she puts so much effort into trying to make these shows and go research and come here and make content for you guys, and she has to go through so much hate, so much negativity, and in the most depraved, vile way comments that you could imagine, right? I mean, here's the thing: I don't receive those, right? I have been here. I have been involved with Atheist Republic for like 15 years, right? And Susanna has been here for like 1 year, but she is way a way bigger target than I ever was. Like it's like them. You can tell how much being a woman attracts this much negativity and vile comments. It's so horrible. Like honestly, I don't know how anybody, like it's such a thankless job. I'm so sorry, Susanna, that you have to go. You have to deal with this. And you know what? This is why, like, if Susanna ever tells us that she doesn't want to have to deal with anything, like she gets to do that. Like, I don't care if you're a patron, if you are part of the people that is making life more difficult for Susanna, you could fuck off, right? She's putting so much effort in, and she believes in what she does so much, right? She's literally doing this because she believes in it and she thinks that she's making a positive influence. And these people are trying to come here and being so hateful to her, right? And this person is on Patreon is being very specifically against Susanna, right? And yeah, I don't care. You know what? I don't care if you're a Patreon. You could go fuck off, right? If Susanna ever decides that she doesn't want to deal with you, she gets to decide. Okay, you need to be thanking her for everything she does. She
Oh.
is very passionate, especially about India. Okay, she cares for India, right? So yeah, fuck you for not recognizing all her effort and all her value. And fuck you for thinking that we will have to ask your questions, your hateful comments, your hateful questions, and your hateful username. And yeah, and fuck anybody who supports the people who are coming after Susanna.
Oh, well, thank you for your kind words. And from
It's
everyone in
okay.
the live chat, it does mean a lot to me. Yeah,
Mm.
because I don't know. Oftentimes it's kind of funny. Like a lot of times I get these messages, and like in the moment it doesn't bother me. Like oftentimes I actually think it's kind of funny, but then later, like sometimes even like a few days later, I realize like I just feel like gross and like bad about myself, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, oh, probably because of like the things that people are like telling me about myself. Like,
Oh,
it's not over time it wears on you, you know. Um, yeah,
this is read
that's
this
one thing I
comment.
was. Ah, that's really sweet. Saint Susanna is India's patron saint. That's so
Oh,
sweet.
yeah.
And
No, you were gonna
ego.
say something. Go on.
I don't know how to pronounce this username, but they're saying trolls are trying to pressure you to stop your activism, Santa. You have our support no matter what. Do what is best for you. Oh, thank you. Um, yeah, I was thinking about how like especially in like the atheist skeptic like rationalist space, I feel like there's a lot of expectation or pressure upon people to like always be these like super like emotionally disengaged, like purely logical people, and it's like it shouldn't matter what you're going through or your own emotions, like you should put that aside and examine the arguments and all this stuff. And you know people really rag on different public figures for when they can't do that or when they do get emotionally involved. And that's something that I used to kind of like think about sometimes about figures that I looked up to. And then when you're actually put in that position, like you realize how frankly like dehumanizing that expectation is. They You're supposed to be some like perfect bastion of like logical or rational thought when that's not how humans are meant to interact, like, or that's not how people can be 100% of the time. They're just like a human too who also is susceptible and goes through stuff. Like, I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah. No, it makes complete sense. Like that's why when you get some comments and you say, if I ask you like, are you okay? And you say like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, I bet this is the fake thing here. Even when you're thinking you're fine. Um yeah, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. Like,
Nah,
yeah.
it's okay.
But
Well, you,
okay.
you don't apologize. You didn't do anything to me.
Why saying sorry is not an apology. I'm just sorry.
I know, I know, I
All right. All right.
know.
Okay.
We could
Let's
we
go.
now have time to get into the live chat questions. So, guys, if you haven't asked your live chat questions, make sure to go ahead and do that. Um, and we've got a bunch saved, and so we'll get into it. We got again, Rudresh, he comes in early, he gets these logged in, and then he gets out. So Rudresh has a couple. So we're gonna to switch it up. We're gonna go back and forth, switch on and off. So Rudresh is asking, "This is controversial," but can we talk about this, Armin, before we get into it? I'm so nervous because YouTube.
I think we can. I think it's fine.
Okay, I'm so paranoid. Okay, this is controversial, but don't you think mask mandates are similar to hijab mandates? The justification for both is protection in some form, but it should, but I guess, but should it be forced?
No, they're not. They're not the same. One of them, a hijab doesn't protect you from any harm. The masks do, right? So one of them is like modesty culture. One of them is trying to coming up with an imaginary harm and then coming up with a cure for it and then telling women how to forcing women, putting women in a position of having lesser authority, because now all of a sudden you're in a situation where you get to tell them what to wear, and that opens the door for them to be in, that sets the tone, sets a precedent for the fact that women will have lesser authority over their lives, because once you get to tell them what to wear, what else do you get to tell them, right? What else do you get to control? And it's not preventing any harm, right? In fact, it's inflicting. Not only it's not preventing any harm, it's inflicting a harm, right? Masks, on the other hand, is like like you don't like people are like, this is, you shouldn't be forced, but what are you talking about? Like, this is like, it's not about just you, right? Like, it's not like consuming sugar, that it will just be harming you. It's more like cigarettes in front of in a crowd, which would be harming the people around you, right? It's like seatbelts, right? Like, we have mandates for seatbelts. Do you want to remove mandates for seatbelts, right? Like, why would it, like, how many people out there who are asking for mandates to be removed from masks would argue the same thing for seatbelts, right? Do you not see that it makes sense for having laws against smoking in the crowd in front of, like, next to other people? Like, do you not see why? Like, if we have laws like saying that you can't smoke in a crowd next to other people, do you think that that you should be free to do that? Because do you think, like, this is your freedom? Why are you being stopped?
You're
Like, obviously,
infringing on my liberty.
yeah, like, yeah, seriously, like, the same people that think that masks shouldn't be mandated, do the same people, because it should be personal freedom and people should be responsible for their own health and stuff like that, do you think that, based on the same argument that you're making, somebody should be able to smoke in a crowd, and there shouldn't be any laws against that? Is that what people think? Because that's ridiculous, right? Yeah.
Are
Does
you
that
asking me?
no, like, no, I just, that is ridiculous. No, that's not a question. That's a statement. I'm pretty sure. But
Like this.
but what do you think?
I mean, they're obviously not the same. One of the big differences between them is that the harm that is trying to be prevented by the mask mandate is like observable. We can actually see that. Like the protection of a hijab, like, is, well, it depends on like what aspect of it you're thinking about. Like, are you thinking about like the religious obligation and the sin part of it? Because that's not something that's observable. If it's a basis of like modesty culture and trying to protect from assault, that kind of thing. Well, there's lots of studies about how that's actually doesn't work. That's not true, even though that is an observable behavior, right? So
Right.
if that's the case, the job doesn't do a good job at that protection. So yeah, I think they're very different.
By the way, Emran in the live chat is also pointing out that also don't mask mandates don't discriminate by gender. Fair point. Another thing
That's an
to point
important
out, your
point.
mute. Yeah, yeah. No, sorry, your audio was delayed a little bit. Another thing is that I actually, this might be controversial, okay, but I actually go a step further. I think, like, as a libertarian who believes in limited government intervention, I don't people don't understand. Limited doesn't mean zero. The government needs to have limits people's behavior when it causes a lot of harm to society. Okay. In fact, even though I'm a libertarian, I would have, so not now, not anymore, but at some point I would have supported mandating vaccines, not just by companies, but by the government. Like, I would have been in complete favor of making it by law mandatory to get vaccines. I would have been in favor of that.
I think Austria
Yeah.
actually implemented that. Austria was the first, and I think Germany followed. And then there's been
Hmm.
like just all hell broke loose in terms of like protests and stuff. It's been crazy.
I would challenge anybody who disagrees with that. I would challenge, like, okay, so even if they don't think that mandates for vaccines shouldn't be um, used for this disease, like, um, is there any limit to, like, what if it, like, would they agree with it if the disease was like a lot worse? Like, there is always a limit where government intervention, like, if you are a utilitarian, like if you are trying to look at the consequences, right? Like, we don't want government intervention because there's some harm associated with government intervention, but there are lines when we cross, then the harm from government not intervening would be a lot higher than the government intervening, right? And having a disease that, yeah, what are you laughing at?
I'm cracking up because Mustafa's saying wear a burqa, best of both worlds.
Why? Why? Okay.
That made me laugh. Okay, so next question is from Stephen McSteventon. Have you ever seen any videos by or from Hans Wormhot or videos responding to him? If so, would you say he is the most idiotic theist in existence? I don't know who this guy is, but your description isn't making me particularly inclined to find out because it sounds like a waste of my time.
Sounds funny though. Sounds like something funny to look at. So no, I don't know either. But hold on, who's this? Maybe I'm really bad with names, but when I see people's faces, I might say like, "Oh, that guy." I'm better, no, I have no idea who this person is. I have no idea. Right.
So, next question is again from Rudresh. Once Khamenei dies or retires, will Iran be less religious and more nationalistic?
Khamenei is not going to retire. So, yeah. So once he dies, I mean, less religious. I mean, it is already becoming. I mean, Khamenei is partly why Iran is becoming less religious. So I don't know if you. It's not your question seems to be suggesting as if Khamenei has a positive effect on people being religious, whereas the Islamic.
That's a good point.
Whereas
it's not like people
Islamic...
are hanging out; they're hanging on to it because of Khamenei.
No, it's actually the opposite. The Islamic Republic regime, which is Khamenei is the head of, has been responsible for the greatest mass exodus out of Islam in the history of Islam. Okay, like we are talking about a country with more than 80 million people, right? That within 40 years, more than half of the people have reported that they have left religion, not just Islam, religion within their lifetime. Like it's not one generation to another. Within one generation, within a span of 40 years, half of the people of this country have reported leaving religion. And this is, I mean, not because of the work of secular activists or atheist activists. This is because of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the effects of Islamic Republic of Iran on the people. Okay, so so I guess thank you, Khamenei. No, I don't want to say that. But no, but so yeah, but okay. So the effect of him. So most of the people, but I think the more interesting thing that we have to watch out for when he dies is conflict within the hardliners, right? So we already have a major conflict, like a polar conflict between the pro-Islamic Republic people in Iran and the anti-Islamic Republic of Iran people. It used to be easy to draw the line between, okay, so the pro ones would be religious, the anti ones would be nationalist, but those lines have been, in the past couple of years, it's harder to figure out where the lines are. Like if you watch my streams on secular jihadists, you can see that we have a lot of religious people now that are against the Islamic Republic of Iran, and now we also have some nationalist people who are actually in favor of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So it's not as simple as before. You can't just put people in two camps, right? But when Khamenei dies, what would be interesting is that right now we are under this illusion of the hardliners being pro the Islamic Republic, and a lot of people know that that's just an illusion. There is a lot of internal fighting going on, but and some of that internal fighting is just coming up to the surface more and more, right? Um, by the way, just recently, the IRGC came out publicly saying that Qasem Soleimani met with Rouhani, telling him that if you take a position against Khamenei, we will do a coup on your ass, right?
Wait,
Soleimani did that
what?
to. Yes. Rouhani did that. Soleimani did that to Rouhani in his meeting before he died, right? So
Wait.
Soleimani is on record threatening both Khatami during his
Oh
presidency
my
and
god.
Rouhani during his presidency, right? So yeah, that just came out. I maybe I could talk to you about it after the stream. Anyways, so
And the IRGC put
no,
this forward?
yeah, they publicly announced that they did that to Rouhani. There's calls for execution of Rouhani right now. Anyways, let me get back to this question, but we'll talk about that after the stream. So Khamenei, when he dies, all this battle, all this fight between hardliners, right, is going to come more to the problem. Is what I'm looking to see is some of it is coming to the surface and becoming more transparent right now. It might come more into the surface, and that is going to be very crucial because the anti-regime people are haven't been able to make be a powerful force against the regime. Okay, so if the regime itself is not that much afraid anymore of its opposition, of the anti-regime people, the regime itself is afraid of itself. The internal conflict is going to be much harder to deal with than the opposition, right? And Khamenei dying might open Pandora's box, and that will be we'll see. We will see what happens because that happened already once when Khomeini died. It seemed like it was like the power struggle between Rafsanjani and Khamenei was like all over the place, and then Khamenei won, right? But Khamenei's control over the people is less than Khomeini's. So we think like what happens after, like we don't even know who the next supreme leader is going to be, but whoever it is, they're not going to be able to maintain that level of control over hardliners, right? So Khamenei doesn't have an influence over people who are against the regime, but he has been turned into this deity, this holy figure that you can't like that you have to accept his words as gospel, right? But I don't think it's possible for him to be replaced with another supreme leader that hardliners like not like hardliners in power are in conflict with each other, but normie hardliners, the people that are hardliners, they see Khamenei as this like person who speaks. When he speaks, his word is like the word of God, right? Like he's everything he says is true, and they defend it with their lives. But the next supreme leader, a lot of these hardliners are not going to have the same emotional loyal support of. So that is going to be like if you can't control, if you can't unite even the hardliners, by what force are you going to be able to maintain control? That's going to be so hard to do,
Mm.
and I can't wait to see once all the everything falls apart, once who's going to be the last person standing, right? I mean, Khamenei managed to do that after Khomeini. We'll see who's the next supreme leader. So the two main candidates right now, I don't know who's going to be. I can't think of anyone else. There might somebody come out of nowhere, but the two main candidates for the next supreme leader are Raisi, which is the current president, and Mushtaba Khamenei, which is the son of the current supreme leader, right? If there's a third person that is going to be, if it's going to be none of these two, then like how could people unite over that? Like somebody that we can't even imagine right now. It's unbelievable. It's like it's such a mess for the hardliners. But yeah.
I like how D was also rocked by that bombshell you dropped because I was
Yeah.
like, I need a moment.
No, it's one thing for that. It's so amazing. It's one thing for that to be leaked, Okay, but
But
this was not.
that's
This
what's.
wasn't
I
even
need to
leaked.
talk to you
They
about this. Like,
officially came and tell like Rohani is still alive. Okay, he's like standing right there, and they came out and said like confirmed officially. It's like all over the newspapers, right? That yes, Soleimani in his meeting with Rouhani, the former president, warned him that things are not going to turn out very well for him if he keeps taking positions against Khamenei. They actually told him, "Do you want to be the next Ahmadinejad?" That's the line that they use on him. Okay, Qasim is taking a bet here. Qasim is saying Raisi has no chance becoming supreme leader. It's Mujtaba for sure. If Mujtaba becomes the next supreme leader, like think about it. Nobody sees Mujtaba Khamenei. Where is he? He's like behind the scenes. So somebody that has not been in the public eye, by the way, who's a lot more hawkish than his own dad, okay? Reminds me of Ben Salman, by the way. So if that man, if Mujtaba Khamenei if they want to push him to become the supreme leader, first of all, a lot of these hardliners are like, wait, are we a monarchy right now? Are we a monarchy? Like, didn't we get rid of the Shah because we said that you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
just have
yeah,
your son become the
yeah, yeah,
supreme
yeah. That
leader?
was the whole
So,
point.
okay, that was the whole point, right? But all the other hardliners are like, they can't be like, right now they say Janam Fadoy Rahbar means like I will sacrifice my life for the supreme leader, right? It's really hard to have the same attitude, like, here's your new supreme leader, like Janam Fadoy Rahbar, like who are you?
Yeah, yeah, and he's not
Like
even. Yeah,
it's like hard to be this emotionally attached to somebody that nobody has seen, you know. So I don't know how could you even introduce Mujtahid, and he's not even a Mujtahid. I mean, they forced him. Anyway, that's another argument. Yeah.
is Raisi
Uh,
Mushtad? Mushtad?
I don't know. Actually, no, he's not. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, it
So
didn't stop Khamenei though.
yeah,
Khamenei wasn't.
he was president first.
Yeah,
Gossam's so funny, Doctor Ahmadinejad.
Ahmed Doctor. Sorry, I'm sorry.
put some respect on his name,
Look
okay?
at it. What about Khamenei's? No, I thought you talked about Khamenei's grandchildren are like kids. I thought you mean Khomeini's
I think
Khomeini's
he does mean
grandchildren.
Khomeini's grandchildren, but aren't
No,
they
he's saying
anti-regime?
Khomeini's grandchildren are like liberal, non-hijabi Canadian living. Like, go look at Khomeini's grandchildren. They're like they are. They don't even wear a hijab. They're like in Canada party. Aren't they like? Wait, Qasim, am I like they're in Canada, right? Grand. Like, if do you see their pictures?
It's
Some
like
of
when
them,
you
at
look
least.
at the niece of Bin Laden, she's like this wannabe cowgirl, like running around
Look at it.
Texas wearing cowboy hats and stuff. Like it's so funny.
Okay, not all of them are. Oh my God! Look at this one here. Okay, look at this one. Hold on. This you have to see.
Oh my god.
If it loads. Okay, I can't confirm this is true yet. We will look into this, but these are like Khomeini's great granddaughter.
She's cute.
Look at
Wait.
that. Yeah. So this is how this is like. Where is she? Oh, look at this. Her name and link to the original
Yeah,
socials.
right?
Yeah, she is cute. Damn.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah. Anyways. Oh yeah, here Qasim is confirming something. Her mother said my daughter's prayers are more acceptable in Canada.
What the hell is that supposed to
Yeah.
mean?
I don't know. Like, actually, that went viral when people said like, why are your children in Canada? Like, these are Khomeini's, you know, grandchildren, and they're like, oh, she prays there as well, and there are even better prayers than she would have had in Iran. I don't know.
On what basis?
I oh my god. Okay. All right, let's move on.
um So this is an interesting question from Mustafa. Mustafa's asking Armin, I might be wrong, but I think Persians are more socially liberal and secular than Arabs, and this is based off of my own interactions in life. I'm Arab, by the way. If I'm right, why is that? Well, first of all, Mustafa,
Uh,
I'm sure you recognize that this is anecdotal.
yes,
Right.
anecdotal. Okay. So I don't know if that's true. You have to look at, stats and research rather than going off your personal experience, right? And also, Persians outside of Iran are going to be more liberal than Persians inside of Iran, especially because liberals who live in Iran are more likely to want to leave Iran than non-liberals in Iran, right? Right, and also upper class people, like higher class people in Iran, are more likely to be liberal and also have the financial means to leave Iran. So if you are meeting Iranians out of Iran, that might give you a miss. That might give you not the right, like not be representative. Okay. However, I'm not saying this is not true. I'm just saying you can't go based on your experiences. Okay. But if it is true, again, I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying if we do our research and figure out that this is true, I would suspect, and this is just a guess, okay, is because of how oppressive the Islamic Republic of Iran has been, and people being tired of religion, right? So it's not like, obviously it's not anything inherent, anything intrinsic about Iranians that makes them more liberal, okay? I think like a lot of Arab countries don't have theocracy forced down upon people, right? And I think like if the same, if you reel under a dictatorial Islamic regime, you associate all the problems, all the lack of liberty, all the oppression with religion, then it's more likely for people to want to move as far away from that as possible. Okay, like for example, Iranians used to be a lot more religion Islam friendly. Even the ones that were liberal, they were before the revolution, right? So people's view of Islam, like a lot of people had respect for Islam. Even people who didn't observe Islamic practices before the revolution, they had respect for it. That respect has been evaporating in the past 40 years hugely, right? um like, even, okay, so here's the thing, like if you want to compare them to Arabs, a lot of Arabs became more liberal or left religion altogether because of Daesh, because of ISIS, right? So, and that wasn't even forced on them. They just observed ISIS, and they were like, a lot of people said this is Islam. Some people said this is not Islam. Some people said this is Islam. And a lot of Arabs went and like, well, let me look. And they looked, and they were unhappy with what they saw what Islam represents, and became left Islam and are now extremely a lot more liberal, right? So imagine if you could just by observing ISIS, people becoming liberal. Um, Imagine having to live under ISIS, which is the Islamic Republic of Iran, right? And that affecting your life, right? So it's a environment thing, right? It could be, okay. But yeah, so yes. So I don't know. So just to be clear, we don't know if it's true, but if it is true, I would suspect it's because of bad experiences with conservatism.
That good old reverse psychology.
Yeah.
um, Rudresh is asking, oh, and this is gonna fire Armin up. Do you think authoritarian works in the short term compared to democracies when socioeconomic situations in countries turn really bad?
That's kind of like asking, can I live a luxurious life in the short term if I put everything on my credit card? Right? Like, I mean, the answer is yes. Okay, but you're not gonna like the effect of that long in the long term, right? There are things that the dictator, like authoritarian governments, can do that looks pretty impressive in the short term, but the structure of governance is so flawed that in the long term it's not going to be, but it's not gonna, like, that's why you shouldn't get wooed by the fact that like China could, like in the United States, they have to spend like decades just deciding whether they're gonna have a train between these two cities, while China just like, oh, here are the trains, right? You might like, people like, oh, look at this, it's so impressive, they just decided to have trains and now they have it. So this thing like democracy sucks, I guess. Let's have like this is so much better, right? But like, just wait, just like longer term, democracies outperform authoritarian governments, right? I mean, this is the same thing that people were so impressed with Adolf from Germany. I'm not going to say his last name, right? They were impressed with his autobahns, right? But look at what happened to Germany because of him. People were impressed with Stalin's high production and high growth in economy in the short term, because when you have a command up down planned economy, you could just order people to increase production in a certain sector. Then in the short term, it's going to look very impressive. You're going to be like, oh my god, we could just demand that we have this many tanks and there will be this many tanks, and you could just demand the farms to produce this much grain, and they just have to produce this much grain. So it's just going to look very impressive in the short term, and the economy is going to go like, seems like it's like picking up like a rocket in the short term, but they longer term they fail like planned economies. For you to have such short-term effects, you need to have planned economies. Planned economies means authoritarians telling the private sector what to do. In the long term, that's going to backfire massively, right? So we always see, like, if anybody that gets impressed in the short term, just tell them to go look at the history of economies that were planned from the up down planned economies. Just go look at them. Just see what the long term effect of that is going to be. By the way, I'm not saying China is going to be a different story. By the way, because China started like from such a low at such a low starting point, because nobody has ever in the history of mankind managed to have a worse economic plan than Mao, right? Like the number of people that have starved to death because of Mao's economic plan, like this guy has the record of the worst economic plan in the history and starving the highest number of people to death just because of like stupid economic planning. And because China started off from that, and because the guy after, what's his name? So ends with a Peng, something Peng, right? That guy. When he opened the economy of China to the world, because it started with such a low point, and because of how good that decision was to free China's economy, China's economy skyrocketed in such an insane way that it was unimaginable to the whole world, right? Just opening the door, like letting capital to just flow into the country, right? So that was a good thing. But now when we have Xi Jinping in power, he's undoing that. He's bringing planned economy back. He's bringing control back. But because the Chinese economy has been unchained, what this is going to do is going to reduce the growth to some extent, but it's not going to stop it. Okay, so what we're going to see probably in the short term is going to be some bubbles bursting, Evergrande and the train stations. There might we're going to see some crashes in the Chinese economy, maybe, but overall, long term, Chinese economy has been unleashed, and long term is still going to grow. Maybe it's not going to grow as fast as it used to, but it's still going to grow. Okay, and anyways, planned economies fail, and even if they don't fail, they will just slow. It will slow progress. Yeah.
This question just made me kind of laugh. Because I think this person has showed up like several times and asked us to, like, maybe it was someone else. There have been people showing up recently asking us to stop infighting at the ACA. And I'm like, do you realize that we're not the atheist community of Austin? So they're asking how is we at the ACA stop the infighting at the ACA? And I'm like, I got no control over that. Different organization.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening? We don't even know what's happening there. Is there more infighting than before? Still?
I don't know. What kind of? I don't pay attention. It kind of seems like it's just a rotating.
I think we have bigger problems. I
Yeah.
think we have bigger problems than stopping the fight in the ACA.
Than drama, than atheist drama. Jackknife is asking Armin, do you have any upcoming debates?
No, actually. Yeah. I would be happy. Anybody wants to? I'm just lazy into arranging it. If I want to be in debate, somebody else has to arrange it, and I'll be there. But like, it has to be like a good platform. Like, I'm not gonna go like on, it has to be beneficial to Atheist Republic. If anybody wants to set anything on modern day debates, um, with anybody, especially if they're Muslim, I would be happy to.
What would you want to
Um,
debate?
uh, I want to debate. I would be interested in debating Islam, geopolitics, modernity, transhumanism, blockchain. um, yeah, modernity
Yeah,
would
I
be. I
think
would be
you should
like, oh,
definitely.
capitalism.
Oh yes, you should also
Oh
do.
yeah, we do have debates. Actually, we have a debate tomorrow on the Farsi channel.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, actually. Well, the thing is that Babak, because see, the reason why I'm having debates on the Farsi channel is because
It's
Babak is
because
making all
Babak
the
does the scheduling.
setting it all up. Yeah, yeah.
What? Wait, what are you
By the way,
debating on the
Vikram,
Farsi channel?
morality. Vikram, I know that about that debate with Daniel Hainraju, and Destiny. I sent Destiny. I emailed Destiny all a lot of points to keep it to have in mind, um, before he debates. Um, yeah, so yeah, I hope that
I
helps him
edited
out.
Armin's essay dissecting
Yes, yes.
Hakikaju.
I sent Destiny an essay of the things that he should take into account. Um, gave him some pointers. Yeah. All right.
um, wait, there was another good question. Oh
Oh
yes,
wait,
it related.
before you go that secular rights thing, are you serious about that? I mean, I might be able to set up a debate with a recent convert to Islam. Yes, but if it's on modern, like, please set it up with modern day debates like that. That's where I would be able to, uh, like, yeah. So that that would help our channel as well. So bring some traffic from there to our channel. Okay.
Yeah, they do a good job at MDD, which is related to this question. What are your thoughts on the upcoming debates on Saturday for modern day debates? There's also Apostate Prophet versus Ali Dawa in May, if it happens. So I know that
Yeah.
there's this like big in person conference that's happening, I think, somewhere in Texas. I don't know about the other debates, but I know that Daniel Hakikaju is going to debate Destiny on if modernity hurts Muslims or something like that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, you're pretty excited for that, I think.
Yes. Looking forward to those. Looking forward to those.
Any
Oh,
other thoughts?
secular rarity is no. I'm just like, I would like to get involved as well, and apparently secular rarity seems to know some people. So if he can set that up, I would be very interested in that. Thank you for that. Mm.
Um,
Also, this is funny, so I do have to highlight this. Why don't you guys post any Muslim blasphemous art? Is it because they'll ban you on here? Oh yes, no. Actually, let's actually. Here's a serious answer. Yes, exactly. We don't have any Muslim blasphemous art, and that's exactly. We're very afraid. We are afraid. None of our blasphemous art has anything to do with Islam. This is like, we're cowards. Okay, sorry, we have to admit that. We're just, we can't. We are Islam. We will not touch Islam. We will
and
not touch Islam.
and you were the first to figure it out. You were the first to figure it out. And I have to hang my
Yes,
head in shame.
yes, no. Like, this is I was hoping nobody's gonna notice this, but you got us. God damn it!
We
Like,
made it this far.
why are you exposing us like that? Like, what did we do to you? Why are you embarrassing us? Like, did you really have to let the world know that we don't have? No, unbelievable.
You didn't have to
Okay.
violate us like that. um,
Okay.
this is kind of an interesting question. Asian Americans saying, "What are your thoughts on atheist churches? Any rituals that y'all are a personal fan of?" Well, I'm not familiar with atheist churches. I know the like universalist Unitarians are like so hippy dippy that their belief in God is like debatable. But if there was an atheist church, I like how In Italy, they have debaptism ceremonies. I think that's really cool.
Mm,
I like the idea of debaptisms, or what the Councils of Ex-Muslims of Britain does is they have a ex-Muslim coming out day, which I think is really
mm.
cool, or like kind of like an unshahada. Um, and I like that just to maybe make people feel like losing their faith, which can is painted as this like super sad serious thing, like you're losing your faith, you're losing something, it's painted in this very negative way. Like, instead, have a party around it, like celebrating all the things that you gain in your life. I think that's really positive and a much better way to yeah, talk about these things.
I just want to let people know that I just think like people shouldn't say something is okay or not okay based on what they like. You know what I mean? Like if you don't, I mean, just if something is not harming anybody, it might appeal to certain people, right? If it's not for you, don't translate "it's not for me" to "it shouldn't exist." Okay. um so like atheist churches, like if you think that's ridiculous, ask yourself, okay, you don't have to go, but is there harm? And if there's no harm, some people might like it, so why not? Easy calculation.
Vikram is asking me if I would ever go on modern day debates to debate someone. I don't know. I know Armin would really like that.
Yeah.
Um, I get anxiety just thinking about that.
Well, don't do anything you're not comfortable with, obviously.
No, I know. Um, it'd be good to like push myself to do something like that, and be fun to like
Hmm.
kind of put myself out there in a new way. Um,
Yeah.
but I know I'd be really, really hard on myself. So that'd probably be like
Yeah.
one of the toughest parts about the experience.
Hmm.
I
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, as somebody who has watched a lot of debates, I know that you're going to do better than 90% of them. But even though you're going to do better than 90% of them, you're going to watch it and you're going to think you did horribly. But like, you're actually a lot better than before, right? Like, I think you recognize your worth a lot better than before, right? But I think maybe at first you're going to be hard on, you're going to do really good. You're going to be hard on yourself. But I think once you compare yourself to other people, you're gonna be like, actually, I think I did okay. Yeah, some people are saying you would do good.
That
So.
is kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
Um, and wait, just cleaning up the questions. Okay, Gossam is asking your thoughts on the case of Hoda Mutana, an
Yeah.
Alabama ISIS bride who lost an appeal for return to the US. Shouldn't the US be more supportive of its citizens? Is this like an American Shamima Begum? Um,
Wait,
I'm
a
not actually familiar
citizen,
with this. I've never heard of this.
American citizen was not allowed to come back. She's not. Is a U.S. born Yemeni woman who's immigrated? That
Oh,
is
this
like I.
just
We have
like the
to
it just came out
a
today.
court ruling annulled her American citizenship. What the hell?
And she was
This
born
is
in New Jersey. What the hell? If she was born in what?
This is horrible. I'm very much against this. She's an American citizen. She should be allowed to come back. I am very much against this. I didn't actually even know about this. I'm just hearing it for the first
Oh,
time.
wait, maybe she lost her citizenship on a technicality. Because at the time of her
Okay,
birth, her father was a diplomat of Yemen, legally making her ineligible for US citizenship. So then
okay,
her
I hope
oh
it's
my
because of
goodness.
that. I hope it's because of that, because if she is legit a US citizen and they just like that would I don't okay. Yeah, I would find it very difficult to believe that United States would just take away someone's citizenship because of the crimes that they committed. I like it seems like something that I can't. I wouldn't. I would. It would like. completely changed my idea of how things work in the United States, right? I
Hmm.
hope that's not the case. I hope there was actually a technicality that made her citizenship
On
not
January
valid.
2016, the Obama administration revoked her passport and stated in a letter that she was not a birthright citizen because her father's termination of diplomatic status had not been officially documented until February of 95.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, good. So this would be a major. I think it would be impossible. Okay, based on U.S. laws. But I'm glad in the United States you can't just remove someone's citizenship because of the crimes that they committed. You know, your criminals who are citizens have rights, right? They have rights. You can't just just because somebody has committed a crime, that doesn't mean you could just remove their rights, right? So this is again this would I think this would be impossible in the United States, and that's what makes the United States a better country, right? That's what makes it United States a country that your rights will be there. Like nobody can just take away your rights, no matter what you do, right? Um,
This whole thing about if she's a citizen or if she is not a birthright citizen, this is looking a little
e- e-
sketchy. I'm not gonna lie.
okay, I know. Even if it's sketchy, it's better than a country that could just be like, you know what, we don't like you. We could, it could still be problematic. Okay, it could still be like, oh, you guys are just using this technicality because to be able to take away her citizenship, and it's not really about the technicality, but the fact that it's not possible in the United States for you to just say that you are horrible, therefore we're taking away your citizenship. The fact that that argument is not possible and it's not constitutional, that's still a good thing. Okay, again, it's bad if they're using this technicality as a revenge tactic, but it's far better than having a country that could just be like, oh, your rights just vanish. And for anybody who wants to comment that, oh, if you're a horrible person, you don't have rights anymore, or you just like you should lose your rights. That's not how rights work. Okay, if you're a criminal, you have you still have your rights. The rights to mobility that you enjoy are based on certain conditions. They're based on conditions that you're not committing any crimes and stuff, right? So if you punish a criminal for their crimes, that doesn't mean you've taken their rights away. Okay, they the rights that they were enjoying was already based on certain conditions. The rights will remain, right? But so you're just working within the framework of the rights that they have. If you just like take away someone's rights because you don't like them, then you're not just attacking that person, you're attacking the entire system. You're attacking the entire framework. You're basically devaluing what it means to be an American citizen. You want to make sure that that's not something a country can take away from its citizens. You might like this is I don't I have to find the words to be able to explain to people how important this is. Like it's way beyond just one person. The idea of a government being able to take away someone's citizenship is so dystopian. Like you are opening the door to something a lot more harmful than an ISIS bride being able to come to the United States and go to prison for it, right? Anyways.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing this to my attention, Gossam, because now I want to go do a lot of digging on this because this is really interesting and really important. I think this will be our last question tonight. So D
Okay.
is asking, when will you do a stream on Tigray? Human rights groups have been reporting recent photos show children in the same condition as Yemen. Um, to be honest, I don't
When?
know if we should do a stream on Tigray. Like, it is so complex. Um, I'm
We can,
learning about a lot of these different dynamics, especially in the ethnic federalism of Ethiopia for the first time. Um, it's a it's a conflict where there aren't. I mean, it's not this way necessarily in any conflict, but there's no just perfect good guy. Like there's a lot of bad stuff on all sides. Um,
but
it's
that's true with Yemen as well.
yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. What do you think,
I mean,
Armin? Like,
Yemen is very complicated, and there's also no good sides, and so that's also the same thing. Um, Honestly, like maybe one
I just
reason
don't know
why.
to be able to like bring it to an audience responsibly. I think I know more than most people because most people know nothing. But
I mean, there are a simplified version of it, like the two main groups involved, and also the other country involved. Like, I mean, the thing is that other people have done it better than us. That's why I don't know if we can like take it. This is not something that I mean, we are following it, but it's not something that we're known for following. It's not something that we have a background in following, and that's why I don't know if we would be the right platform for it, but we will consider it. Um, yeah. Another thing is that it keeps changing so fast that every week
hmm
I think like if I do a stream on it, next week this stream is going to be obsolete. Um, yeah. So I mean, situations are bad in Yemen. Poverty is like situations are bad, extremely bad in certain regions in Iran, in Afghanistan, and these places, our audience is more. See, like if we do Tigray, a lot of people might be like, that's not why I'm subscribed to you. Like I'm subscribed to you guys for covering a different region. That's what makes us wonder, because if we want to just highlight everything based on the human cost, then are we going to start talking about climate change, streams on climate change, because that's the major human, you know human cost, right? So we do need to keep our streams in line with why people are subscribed here, or else it's going to be all over the place, right? But we will, so. And D is saying, I have been asking for a year, nobody's paying attention. Oh, okay. D, would you be interested in coming and us maybe talking to us about it? I don't know. Maybe we could talk to you, D, about it. Um,
or
okay,
maybe
I'll.
during our Q&As, like ask a specific question, and then that will
Yeah,
give us the context to talk about it.
yeah. Mm.
It's so tough because it's also something that I don't think many governments are going to want to intervene on.
So here's the reason. Okay, here's one reason why we don't cover it. Okay, whenever I see things happening in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, we have something to add beyond what is the coverage of what's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like we have a perspective on it, because of being in touch with people from there, because of being from there, because of reading and studying a lot more, the decision making behind this, behind the scenes, a lot of more geopolitical, like specifically like narrow geopolitical stuff specific to the region, or more a global perspective of it. We have these insights to what's happening, like if you watch like CNN or Al Jazeera or Reuters or coverage of it, beyond what's being explained over there, we have something to add to that, because we know something that we can add to that, not just like, oh, here's what's happening, right? But when it comes to this story, we just know we can only tell you what is happening, and we will get
Yeah.
that from other news coverage, and you already have that in mainstream news coverage telling you what's happening. So it's hard for us to be like, okay, well, we're just repeating what's happening. I don't know. I don't have the additional insight that would make the stream valuable beyond what you're getting in other places. That's the reason why I'm not covering. Does that make sense?
hmm
Mm.
Yeah, that's a really good way of encapsulating it. Because
Mm.
I mean, I appreciate, of course, that this is a channel where we do talk often about humanitarian issues. We do talk about human rights, and this is something that we promote and care about a lot on this channel. So, on one hand, I sometimes feel hypocritical. It's like, well, why shouldn't we cover a specific, like, this problem or this topic or this region? Um, well, when we can't cover everything, we do have to make choices and narrow our focus. But then also like what you're saying, like what value can we actually bring to when we talk about these things? And me being a like I know what's going on, but I'm still a baby when it comes to understanding that region, that conflict, that history. Um, so yeah, I don't know if I would have anything like valuable to add. Um, yeah. So sorry to disappoint.
Another way we could cover it is just make it one segment in one of our news coverage, secular rarities, such as.
Yeah,
Wait,
saying to remind people that it's terrible and we need to do something. With this conflict, I don't actually know what we can do besides like
yeah, we don't.
maybe donate to
We,
someone who's helping like food supplies because of the famine. But in
yeah,
in
we
other
could.
regards, like I don't think there's going to be like intervention at this point in time.
Yeah. Wait, is this directed at us? This is not directed at us, is it? I don't think it's this directed at
I don't know, man.
us.
Oh no, it's not. It's not.
Okay, cool.
Um
Okay.
So sorry guys if we were not able to answer your question this week. If you want to make sure that we answer your questions,
Wait.
you
One last
can.
thing. One last thing.
Oh boy.
Secularity saying bringing attention to it is always helpful. Well, I mean, we did right now. Like this is one way to bring attention to it is for you guys to ask a question about it, and we could talk about it. So yeah, go guys. Make sure you do go check it out. As much as people hate Al Jazeera, I think like that's a good source to get your. Al Jazeera English is a lot better than Al
They
Jazeera
actually
Arabic.
have really good coverage. I don't care what
They
anyone
have really
but
good,
like
yeah.
really
People
good
are
coverage of India in particular. Like I don't care what anyone says.
yes, yeah. I would suggest like looking at their coverage of the story. Okay, so go look it up. Sorry for cutting you off. Go on.
Oh, I
Susanna.
was just going to say, if we weren't able to answer your question this week, we apologize, but you know how you can fix this situation, how you can ensure that it happens. Well, you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and you get our special priority attention every week during our Q&As. Link is in the description, and you also get all of our blasphemous art. And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. And we also have the news coming up in 2 days. And this week, just as a teaser, a lot of our news is from India. Like most of our news this week is out of India.
Okay.
Because there's always a lot of stuff going on over there.
All right, guys. A lot of people are saying thank you in the live chat, and look, our live chat is like advertising for us. Become patrons, people. Yes, become patrons, guys.
Aw.
Do not become patrons if you're struggling financially. But if you're not, consider becoming a patron. Link in the description. As Susanna said, it's just $1 a month, and you get your questions answered first, and our art. You get our art, the uncensored version of it. All right. And thank you guys, and talk to you in 2 days. Subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you're here live when we cover the news. All right. Bye.
Bye.